It was a time of war. In the mid-1980s, there was a war that went on between two formats, Betamax and VHS. In this video, we're going to look at an amazing SuperBeta Hi-Fi VCR that was an attempt to blow out the enemy of VHS, to eradicate him from the face of the earth and bring the best home entertainment to your home with the best picture quality and sound like you've never ever seen before. And it's going to be amazing, so you better stay tuned or you're going to miss out. All right. It was a time of civil war. People were in the streets fighting, smashing things, blowing up cars, knocking down buildings. Why were they doing this? Because there was a war between the VHS and the Betamax camp. And of course, the rebels, the Betamax owners, all knew they had the very best format around. And in order to absorb that amazing format, they had to upgrade their equipment to better and better equipment. And this particular machine right here was the essence. It was the awesome. It was the holy grail, the pinnacle of home entertainment. It was the SuperBeta Hi-Fi VCR, which recorded in Beta 2 and Beta 3 formats. Now on my channel, you'll see a Beta 1 VCR. That Beta 1 VCR only recorded in an hour-and-a-half format. But by going to Beta 2 and Beta 3, you could record much longer on those tapes and get more recording time. But by the time Sony had figured that out, that people wanted 2, 4, and 6 hours of recording time on their tapes, Betamax was losing the format war and had almost died. In fact, Sony gave up. They surrendered to the enemy, and they began producing VHS VCRs. Betamax is kind of rare. It's not very often that you walk into a thrift store or a flea market and see a Betamax machine. Why? Because the rebels are still alive. Those of us who are Beta owners hold on to our Betamax VCRs, and we won't let them go until we die. So, I managed to grab one from a guy who died, and now I'm going to be able to show this to you because I didn't have this until just a couple weeks ago. Here is a quick comparison of the ammunition used by both camps. The rebels used this tape right here. This is Betamax, and this is the original 1986 release of Back to the Future on Beta Hi-Fi. Not SuperBeta Hi-Fi, but just Beta Hi-Fi. And then over here, this one, that is the VHS release, original release of Back to the Future from 1986. Both of these are on Scotch EXG Hi-Fi videotape. So you can see, if you haven't seen this format before, how it compares to the size of the VHS tape. It's just a little bit smaller. And the packaging is nearly identical. Here's the model number on the back of the unit. It says model number SL-HF870D, made by Sony. Taking a look at this VCR's jack pack, on the back we have the VHF and UHF input and output. This would allow you to hook a pair of rabbit ears or an aerial antenna to the VCR to record off television, as well as connect this directly to the back of your TV and play it through channel 3 or 4 on the television set. You can control which channel you wanted to play it back through right here under RF unit with the selector switch, channel 3, channel 4. You have also a Control S input and output. This allowed you to hook components together so that one remote could control all kinds of units and they could actually talk to each other. You have a line input 1 right here with audio left and right, as well as composite video. Line out with regular composite video, as well as left and right audio. And one more set of audio jacks, just in case you wanted to hook this TV to your TV's direct stereo input, and then you would have the ability to play the stereo playback through the TV or through a external receiver. Taking a quick view of the features of this unit, the rebels had the best stuff. So look at all these great features you got. Headphone jack with the ability to control the volume of it. Now again, back in the 1980s and the mid-80s especially, most of us did not have access to a digital recorder. We just couldn't afford it at that time. So imagine buying a SuperBeta Hi-Fi VCR and being able to record really super crystal clear, high quality audio onto videotapes. And at that time, that's what people did. So this machine is really set up as a tape deck as well as a VCR. That magic of that high fidelity came through this format, Beta Hi-Fi, where the video and audio tracks are recorded in a diagonal fashion on the tape. Then there was the original audio system, which was called linear audio, which was more like cassette tape sound quality, okay, and poor at that. So you had a level meter here to set your audio level, just like a tape deck, and you had the controls here to set it at your favorite setting. Max it out if you want, rock it out. Notice over here there's a SuperBeta indicator on, which means you could get extra resolution and video fidelity on regular Betamax tapes, unlike Super VHS that required a special tape. Now later they came out with SVHS-ET, which did allow you to get a little bit better resolution on standard VHS tapes. But again, this was an advantage at its time, is that you could get better resolution off your regular beta tapes. Didn't have to buy a special tape. Now for your friends who didn't have a SuperBeta machine, you could always turn the SuperBeta off and make regular tapes just for them. Rounding out the features here on the front, we have a sharpness control. We have a record mode here, so we can change it from Beta 2 to Beta 3. Let me move over a little bit so you can see that. That indicator is right here, so Beta 3, Beta 2, which is kind of like SP, LP settings on your standard VHS deck. We also have input selector here, audio monitor of hi-fi and the linear normal tracks. And if a tape came out and it had Spanish on the left channel and English on the right, you could single those out here. I've never seen such a release, but there may in fact have been those. MPX filter and normal audio. These two happen to do with the MTS tuner that was built in. So at the time we had stereo television, and these selector switches work with that, as well as this over here, which does auto stereo. So if there was a stereo broadcast, you could automatically pull it in. And then you had preset and fine tune for your tuning as well. Now you didn't always have to have this 12 o'clock flash on the screen. You could actually hit the clock set button and set the clock. You did that here. You had a clock counter selector switch here, a clear and reset, tape return, and TV VTR button. These are your regular controls, channel up and down, and stop, rewind, forward, fast play, and all of that stuff. Whenever you would hit fast forward and do a search or rewind, sometimes it was called beta scan, this particular unit used its digital picture section to digitize the picture that you were watching, as well as hitting the pause still button here. So what is this digital picture section that you speak of? It is this section right here. Again, it's an entire panel of features that your VHS deck would not have given you at that time, unless, of course, there could have been a competitive VHS deck that had this silly stuff on it. But in any case, it's just adding to the fun of watching your tapes. And I'll demonstrate that for you. But rounding out the features, picture-in-picture, the ability to watch a tape as well as watch your Nintendo in a little small screen on the side of the TV. A stop motion and flash motion. Now these are effects that happen to the tape as it's playing back. You can turn it into mosaic art, picture art, strobe, multi-strobe. You also have a recall button. So if you took a digital picture, you could recall it and bring it back and watch it again. Your effect plus and minus. So this changes the speed or the verity of the mosaic art, picture art, as well as the strobe and stop motion features. And then when you got sick of watching all these silly effects, you could just hit digital off and turn it off. We'll round up the features here in the front by giving you a line input here with composite video input and normal left and right stereo audio. Let's now take a trip inside the engine room of the Rebel's secret weapon, the mechanism of the Betamax SuperBeta Hi-Fi VCR. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and load in a tape and let you see how this cool loading mechanism worked. On my channel is a video about a Sears Betamax VCR. Be sure and check that out. You'll want to compare the loading mechanism on that to this simplified version of the loading mechanism in this more modern version of Beta VCR. All right, so let's load in a tape and see what happens. The first Betamax systems had a top loading tape mechanism. This one uses a front loading mechanism, and it's really easy to insert the tape. You just push it in and it falls into place. Now immediately the system goes through and loads the tape into the mechanism and has it ready to go. Some VCRs back in the day didn't do that. They didn't load the tape in right away, but I think that was a common feature with Beta. It always loaded the tape in and had it ready to go, so as soon as you hit play, it would begin playing up on the screen for you. Let's watch again as that tape is loaded up close. So there it is, ready to go. I'll go ahead and hit fast forward so you can see what that looks like. And you can see that the tape is moving down here. So this one's got like an oversized supply hub there because there wasn't much tape on the spindle. Very short tape. Now let's look at what rewind looks like. So this tape is for demonstration or promotional purposes for SuperBeta VCRs only, not for sale or rental. All right, so again, as I promised earlier, I'm going to upload this demonstration tape on a separate video so that you can see it up close and personal as opposed to watching it right here on this screen. But for now, let's see what it looks like on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. So playing back our Sony SuperBeta demonstration tape at this point. Again, a weapon in your artillery to pull people over from VHS. We'll also show you some of these digital picture functions. And as I promised, I will upload this as a separate video so you can see it up close and personal as opposed to watching it on my TV here with me. So here we are, SuperBeta. You can see a couple of little dropouts there in this tape. Again, this tape is from 1985, so we are very fortunate to see this good a quality of a tape that's been around that long. So here's our picture-in-picture button. If I press that here, if I have another source to play through it, it will show up in this little window here on the side. I can also go into stop motion playback here. By hitting the little plus button on here, I can change the speed at which it plays back. Kind of a nervous tree there. Here's what the mosaic piece looks like. It looks like pixelated artwork. 8-bit beta. Here's the mosaic setting. Oh, I'm sorry, picture art setting. Mosaic was the 8-bit one. And we can fill up our screen with little screenshots of what's playing on the tape. That's very exciting. We can also do it in a smaller format. All right, then I can do a turn off of all of those features and then just watch my demonstration tape being played back. Let's get a close-up look of what it looks like inside the machine. What is this machine doing right now? We'll zoom in and take a look. Here's your take-up and supply spindles, and we'll move a little bit forward as this is the path where the tape cartridge enters the system. And you'll see that there's a gear right around here that that kind of spins in a circle the loading mechanism. So it kind of grabs it and kind of takes it into a U-loop around the video head there. This is your video head, this part right here that spins. That video head also picks up the hi-fi audio off of the tape. You have a capstan right here. Your pinch-roller is right here, which swings into play once the tape has been loaded inside. So then this part meets this part. You've got a motor here that does the loading for you, and I've put some Thomas Edison grease on there to kind of smooth up the operation of the unit. There's another motor right here that brings the carriage in. This is what actually loads the tray that brings the tape in to the loading mechanism. So there's some audio playback heads there, as well as control track heads. I believe this also has a control track on it, or a sync head. There is a erase head over here, as well as a sensor to tell the unit that there is in fact tape present at that time. And a little plate right here, I guess kind of a shielding plate right there, or it may in fact be just a reflector so the unit can see that there's tape inside of there. Okay, so let's go ahead and load in the tape again and let you see how it all kind of goes into place. See that pinch roller pop into place there, and then there's another little guide out there that kind of pushes it up against the capstan right there in the middle of your screen. So it always fascinates me that they are able to do this stuff, and what it took back then to make a video recording. All of this mechanism and gears and parts all had to be fabricated and then connected together and made work as one gigantic working unit. Let's watch it again from this angle over here, because we can kind of see a little bit more of where the tape path is going. It's almost like a choo-choo train going around a track. It's the choo-choo train loading mechanism. All right, so we hit play, and not a whole lot changes at that point. Everything just kind of pops into gear and starts doing its thing. There again is your video head. The tape is coming out of the supply spindle here, entering the unit there, winding around, going through all of that, going around the video head, and then back inside on the take-up spindle, which on a Betamax tape, most Betamax tapes, you can't see the take-up spindle through the window on the front of it. So again, here's our SuperBeta tape playing, and it is really SuperBeta, dudes. And of course, it wouldn't be beta without showing you a pre-recorded movie. So I have here the Deer Hunter tape. And again, this is not super beta. This is regular beta. And you'll notice the color is not quite as pretty and saturated as the super beta tape. And it just doesn't look quite as clear as well as the super beta format. So I'm not sure if they released movies in super beta. If they are out there, I have not seen one, but in any case, this is what a pre-recorded tape looked like back then. Of course, one of the other things you could do with beta is you could get a beta camcorder and make your own home videos. This is a home video recording of a bunch of guys riding their bikes either in the 1980s or 1990s, and this was recorded over that Exploring Sony's Video World tape that I mentioned at the beginning of this video broadcast. So one of the cool things you could have done back in the day, if you had had this Super Betamax machine, and you can see the recording quality on this is really poor, but in any case, you could have used some of the digital features and maybe enhanced your playback of these guys doing their action here. So there is the strobe playback. Kind of turns it into a cool feature, right? Visually interesting. So these guys could have like made their own music video using this VCR as the playback and adding in their own background music. And they could have made their own enhanced video. Now I don't have the music turned way up because it's, you know, the copyright police, they're coming after me. So you can see this particular feature, this strobe feature, or even the still playback feature, would have been an enhancement for an action video like this. But for a movie, just kind of pointless. Doesn't really do much for you. I can also turn it down. Go into like a slow playback. Oh, somebody wiped out there. Okay, I'll switch it back to non-digital. So this is what the original tape looked like. Nice hat. So as the next guy comes up, I'll go ahead and hit the pause control here. Do a wheelie, dude. There we go. So then I can go ahead and just pause it. And I can do a continuation, I guess. There we go. There's a recall of the screenshot that I just took. If we only knew who these guys were, we could give them a call and say, hey, we found your missing bike tape. Your original home movie tape. And guys, this includes our short look at the SuperBeta format. And today's video is brought to you by the TDK Super Avalon SL-HF870D blank tape. So be sure and pick you up some TDK Super Avalon HS high standard videotape today. And again, it is not high definition, it is low definition. But hey, back then, it's all we had. And what's really cool about this TDK tape is you get to see both reels inside. Ooh, snazzy. All right, please subscribe to this video, share it with a friend, like the little like button down there, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time.